Hello and welcome to An Englishman and an Irishman Go to the Movies, the podcast that rescinds its wish for a second Wonder Woman film. With me, as always, is the man who would look fantastic in an invisible jet, or in fact, anything that hides all of his features. It's Sean Ferrick.
Really?
That is probably the meanest
our first video,
opening.
and that's what you go with.
Yeah, I go for, this guy's really ugly, so shouldn't be on video or TV or anything.
I paid a lot of money for this face. All right. I mean, there was 4 people out there with parts of their faces gone, just so I could look this pretty.
Are you sure you took their faces and not bits of their butt cheek or the in-between-us area?
This would explain the consistency of this beard.
Yes, it would, and the consistency of your humour. Right.
I like to call it dangleberries.
That's gross. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to get all of the negativity out so that I can be really, really positive about this film. So, for our first video review / kind of mini episode pod review, we're going to review Wonder Woman 1984. So, the reason we picked this film, because it was going to be a surefire kind of good film. Because I don't know about you, Sean, but I loved the first Wonder Woman.
The first one is very good. Yes. Yeah. The ending, which we'll actually go into, the ending of the first one wasn't good, but there's a reason why it wasn't good.
Yeah, and it didn't... Okay, yeah, before we get bogged down with that, I thought Patty Jenkins is back. Fantastic. Yep. Safe hands. What did you think about this movie?
So, it was a funny one because we've been waiting so long for it. But for me personally, I had no expectations going in. And even though I've literally just said to you, I really enjoyed the first film, which I did. I thought it was such a breath of fresh air because at the time when it came out, DC movies were so dour and so, we're not Marvel.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly frustrating. And then you had this movie that was, a positive film, and it was, it had quite an upbeat message behind it. The acting was pretty solid across the board. I'm not singling Gal Gadot out as being bad. She just probably wasn't the strongest in the first film. But you had, actors with a lot more experience in that film as well. Yeah. So I don't even mean that as mean as it came out. Going into this film, then I had lost interest in terms of, I think I'd lost interest in all sequels over the course of 2020, So it was like, oh, is it coming or isn't it? It'll be here when it's here. So my reaction is kind of, I feel if I'd been looking forward to it more, I would have enjoyed it less.
Your brain is really broken. I don't like it.
If I had been more excited, it would have disappointed me. I wasn't excited, and so it didn't disappoint.
So my expectations were through the roof. They were really, really high. So when they said it was going to be set in the 80s, that was my first thought of, really? Because I think that's been done to death. I think we peaked with Thor Ragnarok because that kind of did the 80s thing and nailed it, and that film's incredible. This feels like a failed Ragnarok. It tries to do some 80s things, but then doesn't at all. It's kind of like some good one-liners and a couple of gags, but this film didn't need to be in the 80s at all. I get that it's doing the whole 80s excess. We can kind of aspire to have whatever we want and cash in on that, but I don't think that sat right with the entire film. But my expectations were so high because Wonder Woman was the first DC film where it was like, oh my god, DC can make a movie. They can do it. There's a universe here. But
you're right, I agree, because Man of Steel was terrible. Just terrible.
Fight you on that. You know how much I love
But I know exactly what you mean by that, yeah.
Man of Steel
Once it became the extended universe.
Exactly, because Man of Steel, the intent wasn't the Iron Man of the DC universe. It wasn't the launching pad. It was kind of retconned because they realised it was the only thing doing anything. So, man, this film, there are some good things that I like about this film. And while I remember them, what did you like about the film?
Oh, I liked plenty. I did like plenty.
Because you like this film more than I did.
I think most reviews of movies start with that sentence, Ian. With the odd exception, there's kind of I think you liked this more than me. Yes, that's because it was a film. Okay, it's not quite that
It
bad.
really feels like I don't like films, but I do. I
I
really,
feel
really
like you
do.
have chosen, like, are you aware that you have co-set up a film podcast?
Yeah,
Was this something along the way where you were like, I done messed up here. I
yeah.
done
No,
messed
no,
up.
no. Most films aren't good. I just don't. This is bad. This is bad.
Done messed up, Balake. Um, but no, sorry, to answer the question, what I like about I liked plenty. I want to first of all say Kristen Wiig is excellent in this film. Whatever about the twists and turns that the character goes through, and some work better than others, she is very solid in this film. I think start to finish. Her final scenes, like any film that relies too heavily on CGI at points, you do. No, actually, all right. I'm trying to equivocate here because there are other films, The Avengers, the obvious comparison, that do pretty well while relying on CGI.
Yeah.
So, the CGI does let down the end of the film a little bit, which I'm sure
Something
we'll
really,
get.
really wrong with the CGI here. But yeah, Kristen Wiig is my favourite bit of the film. I would like 90% less Lord and 90% more. No. So I didn't say Pedro Pascal. I want 90% less of that character, and I want 90% more of Kristen Wiig, because this should have been her movie, but it really isn't, and it needs to be, and it should have been.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
I'm gonna just dive in with the shit that I didn't. With the shit I didn't like. Right, the opening scene.
Go for it. Come on. All right, come on. Let's get it out. Get it off your back. Get it off your back.
The opening scene in The Themyscira, does that work for you? No, and I'm going to tell you why it doesn't work for you. No, carry on.
No. No. Okay. Well, why doesn't it work for you?
Right, it doesn't. The whole Wonder Woman Olympics is fantastic. I love that. That's really, really, really cool. But the message is wrong. And tell me if I've misinterpreted this. The message of the Olympics here is don't cheat. And you don't deserve to win if you cheated and you weren't true to yourself, correct? Is that a fair interpretation? It's about truth, isn't it? That's not
truth.
That is not what Diana did. She didn't cheat, she adapted. So if anything, there's a bit of hubris there, because she falls off of her horse because she's busy looking behind her, checking where the competition is, and then she gets knocked off their way, then she gets knocked off her horse. So then she's looking around and she's like, well, the horse has fucked off into the distance. That's not going to help me here. Adapt, survive. There's a chute. I'm going to go through the chute. Fantastic. She doesn't... If she was galloping, demounts and takes the chute, that's cheating. But here she has adapted. This should be encouraged. She is a young person that has adapted to a difficult situation and come out on top. Just to get beaten down by flipping... What's his name? From Whiplash. Just like... Not my tempo. Sorry, Deanna. You didn't win that. That's the wrong message.
I am afraid your logic is entirely wrong, because
Elaborate.
Imagine the map of a marathon, and if you say, Joe, instead of doing 26 miles, I've fallen over, I can't do 26, I might just do 23 instead.
But who said this
That's
is a marathon?
very much because you're following a course. She doesn't hit the marker. That's the point.
Did she miss that marker? I thought she still hit it.
She absolutely missed that marker.
Oh, did she miss
she
it?
wasn't on the path to hit the marker.
Okay,
and
maybe.
That's what the message is. If you have a course that you need to stick to, veering off suddenly left or right, you won't get the same results. You might get to the ending, but you're not going to have learned your lesson along the way. And that's the central idea of the wishes. Is sure, make me a millionaire, but you haven't.
You've taken the easy route.
You've taken the easy route, exactly. And Lord, of course, obviously he becomes the embodiment of it, but he is that message. I will be a successful businessman. Right? What will you do to get there?
I'm going to wish.
Well, I have a wishing star. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I will concede that point. However, I think the point would have been made better had Diana jumped off the horse and not been knocked off. So if she'd chosen to take that shortcut, it's a half measure, because this way we don't really feel bad for her, and we should. If she's a cheater, then she should be shunned.
It's again, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I disagree in that she is, along the journey, she encounters difficulty, And rather than sticking to the course, she decides, nah.
Yeah, which makes her a winner. Let's put that to bed. So you
Think I just won that argument there, Ian. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah, get hot in here. Really, she didn't like get doped or anything, right? So you liked the opening Olympics.
Well, hang on, you're telling me an 11-year-old girl could do that? She is so doped out of it.
Yeah, okay, we'll put the Wonder Woman society to one side. Fine, okay, the Olympics makes sense. I'm disappointed with that. What my oh man, I don't want to go to town on this too much, but Chris Pine, I love Chris Pine and I will see him in every film, but how not needed is Chris Pine in this film? Spoiler alert, we're going to go into a lot of spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, take it as a given.
Spoiler heavy.
If you haven't watched it yet, what have you been doing? It's been lockdown.
Yeah.
Although, if you have children or anyone you care for, I take back what I said. Ian said that. So
fuck it.
There's a lot of there is problems with the Steve Trevor storyline, and I can accept the fact that they were like, listen, we just need Steve in the film. That's fine, no problem with that. Of course, if we're going to bring him back. There's a few issues to just go back a tiny little bit to what you were saying about it being set in the 80s. I think they've left too much of a gap.
Agreed.
From 19.
He dies in 1917, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not the end of the war. It's close.
That's it. Yeah, like you can almost hear Blackadder in your head. Oh, the Great War of 1914 to 1917.
Oh no.
70 I think they've left it too long.
70 odd years and she still hasn't moved on. I get it. You knew the man for 2 weeks, fell madly in love. 70 years is a bit patronising.
It is a bit, and in a way, I'm not defending that, because there's other examples where it's been, my one true love and 10,000 years have gone by. So that's just like, it's one of those, right, just put it to one side. But I think, yeah, as you say, 70 years or so have gone by, and yes, what was she doing for all of this time? Because she's clearly integrated into human society, and no problem, obviously, that she's not found somebody else that she feels that way about. Okay,
cool,
but
fine.
How many stories have we skipped over? Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, I think, have both said that if Wonder Woman 3 is coming along, it won't be set in the past. It'll be kind of contemporary. But how many movies or ideas were skipped along just so they could set it in the 80s?
This is my point, and it doesn't need, other than it's the trend to set things in the 80s. I don't get what the logic was. Why not the 50s? Why not the 60s? That would have been...
Yeah, either though.
For me, that still would have been a stretch. Anything past 6 months, for me, is a stretch as to why she's totally hung up.
Worried about your partner then. She ever gets the sniffles or anything, it's like, oh, honey, feel better. But in 6 months.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's how
you realise this is recorded, right?
14 days. That's how long they were together.
Oh, I thought you were talking about how long you would wait after your partner.
2 weeks.
I was like, bloody hell.
Oh, no, even 3, 4, maybe.
But
no,
think of the Terminator. I mean, like that idea
I often do.
of good. That idea of short-term love or Titanic, any of that. I personally, maybe it's the romantic in me, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me more is that if they were just trying to tie it into moments of history that are really, really important, there were so many more things going on. You had the Korean War, the Vietnam War, you had the free speech movement, you had obviously like everything, and that's just 50s and 60s.
I'm pretty fed up of comic book films trying to stop the Cold War or claim that their superhero stopped the Cold War. Stop it.
But it was nice, and all those nukes are gone. Yay. So then we've had a negative. Tell me one thing you liked. Maybe we do it this way. We go bad, good, bad, good.
Right, Hans Zimmer, hit me with some music right now. This is going to work really well on the pod. It won't work so much on the video because I can spice the.
That's true, and of course, if on the video, it's like this is great. The rest of this podcast has been hit.
Exactly. It's getting sued.
But
the score, Hans Zimmer, nails it. Yeah, fantastic score, fantastic twist for Kristen Wiig's score as well, which is similar to the Wonder Woman theme, but a bit different. I'm not musical, but I know there's some undercurrents there of the same piece of music, but shifted about and messed around with. I love that. That was spot on.
It's definitely it's very, very strong score. I really, really enjoyed the Themyscira theme. It is both
Yes.
Diana's theme but expanded and made
Works
into
perfectly.
in the same family as. There was two musical moments which are actually they're lifts from other films. One is another Hans Zimmer score. It's the opening from Batman v Superman, The Beautiful Lie. It plays over her final confrontation where she gets Maxwell Lord to rescind his wish, and it's
fantastic.
excellent use of the music. And it's because Batman v Superman, there's many things to say about it, but it does have a very good score. It's not an amazing score, but just a very, very good score.
Yeah.
The other one then, so I've chatted with a few friends online about this. The other one is where she's learning to fly, and they use Adagio in D minor by John Murphy, which was probably made famous by Sunshine, but it has appeared in Kick-Ass, among other films as well. And for me, that actually took me out of the scene because I'm one of those people, I can close my eyes and hum that piece of music start to finish. I've listened to it that many times, and I love it. And it's not that it's it's a great piece of music. I'm sitting there, Christmas Day, stuffed, going, Hans Zimmer didn't write that.
What kind of bullshit is this?
Yeah.
To be fair, you could tell me Hans Zimmer wrote that and I would buy it somehow. By genetics, he did write that. So that scene, I don't like how we got there, but I love the scene. So I don't like hey, Chris Pine taught me how to fly. Don't like that. But the scene itself and her jumping from lightning bolt to lightning bolt and the kind of the move from the hands to the one at the hip, and that I really, really liked. Similarly with Chris Pine's, not Steve Rogers.
Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor. What a stupid name. Sorry to any Steve Trevors out there. Similarly to Steve Trevor's jump jet scene where he's flying over the fireworks and above the clouds, visually, that's stunning, and it's hard to not get moved by that scene, regardless of the bullshittery that took his knowledge of what is essentially an aluminium little tiny plane to a fucking Harrier jet. I don't think it's a Harrier. It's still
a lot more powerful than the last thing he flew.
What's worse is they try to explain it. Don't explain it. Just say that he has an innate knowledge of this thing. Don't make him look around the cockpit going, cool, fuel, cool, starter button, cool, other things.
I do love the gag. Now, it was in the trailer, and I wish it hadn't been because it's a good gag. You probably know the one where it's like, the way I fly, they'll never see us.
Shit,
I never told you about radar.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are they going to shoot us? That was very good. I have to say, I enjoyed it. And also, hats off to Chris Pine for his good comic timing, I think, in this film.
No,
I don't think he is necessarily, so far, a strong comedy actor, but as written, I think there's good comic timing for his character in this film.
He is the comic relief, and he shouldn't be. This is my real bugbear, is that he has no agency in this film. He is plot device. It is a way to get Wonder Woman emotional, a reason for her to lose her powers, and a reason for her to give him up to get her powers back. He doesn't do it, and then he has a couple of laughs, and you get to do the reverse dress-up scene. I really, really, really have a problem with her powers being linked to him, to her being in love with him. For me, that has got connotations of, if you want to love somebody, you got to give up your career. You can't be a powerful woman and in love. You're going to have to choose one or the other. That just didn't sit right.
There was it reminds me in a funny way of an episode of The Angel, the TV series, the first season. He is, through MacGuffery, he loses his vampire base, becomes a human. And, that's great. He can finally be with Buffy. He can be happy. They can be together. But he's useless in the fight because he's just a man, And
I'm
there is a
tired of that
degree
choice.
of that here.
Yeah. The only time I've seen it where I liked it was bizarrely in a CW crossover where the Clark Kent from Smallville jumps into I think it's Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Lex Luthor bumps into him with like a stick of kryptonite.
McGuffery.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
a stick of kryptonite, and he just
Oh,
chucks
right,
it
yeah,
away.
sorry, yes.
And he's like, yeah, no, I gave it up to be with Lois. I gave up my powers. It's fine. That's cool. That was kind of a cool nod. But I'm fed up of it being used as a plot device, and then half an hour later, yeah, I'm going to be powerful. As much as I loved the emotion, and I loved Gal Gadot's scream as she's leaving Steve behind and launches herself into the sky. That scream and the emotion is super powerful. Again, I just hate how we got from A to B.
That's it. That's totally fair. I feel it's, as you say, it's played for the back seats. It's, you know, it's all very, very much. She walks around and he literally disappears around a pillar. It could have been filmed better, but emotionally, yes, it's very, very good. But yes, when the choice is, as you say, you get to have the man or you get to have the career, you do not get to have both.
Yeah, that really
and
didn't
that
sit right.
blows.
Yeah,
That blows
sucks.
on everything. However, now I know you're terrified of this question, so we're just going to get it out of the way here. What do you think of the entire way that Steve is brought back?
I don't. The reason you said I'm really shaky around this because I don't want to use the R word in this situation. However, there are talking about bad connotations. Steve is inhabiting another person's body, and that is the person the rest of the world can see. And it's just cinema magic, which is why we see Chris Pine. But this is a person, and this is a person that returns at the end of the movie. Just because he flirts with her in the closing scenes doesn't make it okay. She has relations with this man, stuff happens with this man's body, and it doesn't, again, quite sit right. Why not just poof, Steve Trevor is back? Why does his soul have to take somebody else's body?
That was it.
It's a fucking wish.
If you're going down this route, you know, if you're going to bring him back from the dead, bring him back from the dead.
Are the nukes that suddenly appeared just microwaves that have been repurposed and eventually get turned back into a ton of microwaves? It's not beyond. I don't understand the choice that was made there to do that.
It's one of those films where, at least from what I've seen of it, the in-universe logic that it gives itself to use is very wishy-washy, and you know there doesn't seem to be any boundaries, but there also does seem to be limits at the same time, and it's because of that it makes it quite muddly. Yeah, exactly. It takes something. You know, does that mean I can take your money, or do I have to take part of your soul? You know, is that why?
But I get that
Diana's losing her power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it's the genie thing from X-Files, where if you every Mulder wishes for world peace, and everyone disappears. I was like, well, you weren't very specific there, were you? And it's one of my favourite mechanics in Dungeons and Dragons. There's this super powerful thing where you get 3 wishes, but it's up to the dungeon master to interpret how the wish is. So it might be, hey, I want to get out of here. And you get out of there, but you leave everything behind. So you're just in the middle of a desert and you're pretty screwed. I went on a tangent there. Damn it. When I talk about Dungeons and Dragons, stop me and rein me back in.
I didn't know you were a fan.
Did you not?
No, not at all.
Just the Dungeons and Dragons stuff down there. But yeah, so yeah, I don't like it either. The magical stone MacGuffin, don't like it.
I mean, sorry. Yeah, I mean, yes, because it is very much a MacGuffin. It is a crystal penis that he holds in his hand, and then it goes inside him, and you may interpret that whichever way you like.
But what it actually is a Chris Pine penis, because it's almost like, what do we need in this film? What we need is for Pedro Pascal to be in it, and we need Chris Pine to be in it. Something with wishes, cool. And then you start from there. It really feels like you started with what would be cool, as opposed to what's a cool story, and take it from there. And it's
I don't think the runtime does it any favors.
2.5 hours.
Yeah,
why?
And you could have told that story, which I did enjoy. We'll get back to the positive now soon, because there is still plenty of positive in it. But you could have told this particular story in at least 2 hours anyway, if not a little bit less.
Just reshape it. I know it's easy to say take this out, take that out, but I think you need to start the story from scratch and find a different message that you want to tell, because I think the message.
A lot of what.
No, go on.
I was going to say a lot of what goes on in Cairo
Yeah.
It just
That didn't feel right.
it
Don't.
did it's not even that it just felt that could be put into the director's cut.
Yeah.
It
I,
didn't particularly add anything to the film. It
so
showed, all right, Maxwell Lord has now kind of realized,
yeah.
yes, I can do pretty much anything at this point. Sure, and I get it, it's to do with oil. That's fine, but he can now do anything.
Yeah. Like, is it a commentary? Like, are you 80s films set in the 80s tend to be like quite light-hearted. So what are you trying to? Are you trying? Well, no. So I'm thinking again the 80s vibe of
Nightmare
Ragnarok
on
and
Elm
stuff.
Street, Friday the
No,
13th.
they were made in the 80s.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Dickhead.
Yeah.
But the idea of setting a 2020 film in the 80s is to get a bit of nostalgia going.
Yep.
It
100%.
probably isn't to do a commentary on oil crisis in the Middle East and how much we fucked them. Like, pick your message is what I'm going for.
It is. There's a lot of messages going on in this film. Now, just because that's totally fair. Let's just park that for a second. Let's go back to positive. I love Pedro Pascal. I love him. I think he's great in this. I think the writing lets him down, but I think he is great in
So
this.
he acts his little hiney off. Great, fantastic performance, and he 100% commits. Him and Kristen Wiig, 100% committed to the role. Don't like the character, cheesy, super cheesy. It's like they've plucked a bad guy from the 80s. He should be in a action film from the 80s, not a modern superhero film, if that makes sense. I just don't like it.
There's also the fact of, like, great, at the end, things get undone, it's
He's
fine. He meets
fucking
up with the son and everything.
redeemed. This shitbag is redeemed at the end.
He's
of the
going to
film.
Gitmo. Like, there's no way out of this one. He's going away for a long time.
He should, but
Yeah.
who knows if he does?
The problem with that is that it just kind of needs to be addressed. See, what I thought was going to happen right now, not that will this be a better ending or not? In the comics, Wonder Woman kills Maxwell Lord. All right. So, and it's basically her great sin, if you like. It's not quite Batman kills the Joker levels of, oh my goodness, but she's quite like Superman. In fact, don't kill.
Sean here representing the internet. Oh, well, actually, in issue 145 of Wonder Woman Returns, in fact, this is what happened.
You sure you want to leave that in the pod?
Yes.
Okay. And it's her great sin, basically, and it hangs over her. So it was expected in this. And the fact that she hasn't done that now, I don't know if they have plans for Maxwell Lord to return in a sequel, or if they just went, no, that's not what we're doing with this film. Because
Perhaps,
it's
yeah, which
quite
is fine.
consequence-free. The only one who truly loses someone forever is Diana.
Yeah, I think she's the only one that comes away losing something. I hope it doesn't start another 70 years of mourning. Bless her.
Well, frankly, it could. So what do we know in terms of, say, continuity? We know I think Batman v Superman is set relatively modern so
day.
2016-ish.
It's basically set the same time that the film came out, yeah.
So what's that? So you got another 20 or 30 years there of, pining. And it is pining. And it is a picture of Steve Trevor that brings her out into the open. So it's also implied that's it. She just goes home and mourns again. So that smile at the end of the film is meaningless.
A century of pining. Now, Chris Pine is attractive, but
he is a dish.
Damn, that is a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, what else did we have? The CGI. What the hell happened with Wonder Woman and CGI? Something's not right, is it?
Something's off. And I wonder how much of that is to do with COVID.
Yeah, but Discovery.
Some of Discovery. No, but still, yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Discovery.
Some of Discovery didn't look great, but some looked incredible.
What didn't look great in Discovery? What didn't look great?
Some of the final episode didn't look great because they had to do more. Basically,
Yeah,
I've tried to forget body stand-ins, and
I've tried to forget the final episode. But so specifically, it's Wonder Woman's action shots. So basically the entire mall sequence, whenever she's jumping and landing
or something,
exactly, it's like gravity. And I know that's the whole point. Yes, the only reason you can jump that high is because you've managed to counteract gravity. But it didn't look right. It's almost like she 3D popped off of the screen. And the entire final scene with Cheetah, just just a mess. It was very Snydery. It was just a mess of dark
The
action.
final scene with Cheetah, where she drops her into the water, and the electricity cables go into the water.
Which is also a bullshit ending for a villain.
I think I agree with you. Now, her surviving, well, if the whole point is that she wished to be like Diana, so if Diana survives, fine. Cheetah survives, that's cool. Yeah. But if Diana stood up and walked away from that, so should Barbara.
I haven't got a problem with that. I get what you mean, but I don't. Yeah. Movie's got a movie. I think that was a lazy way.
Yes,
a lazy and hyper telegraphed way of getting her there.
I know Cheetah looks the way she does in the like she looks like a cheetah woman, but I mean, how much did you prefer the standoff between Kristen Wiig? Not that they're different, but that scene.
I do, because it's now Diana's fighting some CGI thing that doesn't have to be Kristen Wiig, and Kristen Wiig nails the action scenes for a woman that isn't by any means famous for doing action. Like, absolutely nails it, and her intense evilitude is phenomenal. I love it, but really, all of the CGI. I get why they did it, but I don't think it was necessary. Wonder Woman's golden suit while we're on the cheetah fight. I missed why they needed that.
They didn't. I mean, like, she was weakened. She wears armor. Okay, fine. It was very much shoehorned. And just speaking purely for myself here, and I will take the wrath of all comic fans for this one, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
I get it.
I don't think it looks well on screen.
This feels like a really... Oh, man. No, I did not like this film, so I'm not going to apologise. It felt like this whole film was pandering. And it's like, this is going to be a cool shot. And it's like, I just feel like, how much of that was up to Patty Jenkins? Because I had the impression that she would shun that and say, fuck you guys, I'm making my movie. Whereas it feels like Warner Brothers said, you have to have Chris Pine back, you have to have Cheetah in this film, and you have to have the gold suit. Shoehorn it in however you want.
I think, and actually that's an excellent point, because now I haven't heard any reports of that on this film, but it's early days.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
usually you pay something like in the build-up.
Yeah, recently Patty Jenkins spoke about the end of Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Where they were like, nope, you've got to have the big, fire thing in the sky, and you've got to have Ares, and you've got to have God the bang, bang, God. Boom, boom. Yeah. And which is, considering the message for the end of that film is that love wins, the fact that that was in the backdrop of fighting Ares, God of War, and everything, yes, you do feel like there's two different things going on here.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened in this, although it also would be a bit confusing as to would she have let them get away with it a second time? But again, I don't know.
And how successful Wonder Woman 1 was, like, give her the reins, like, let her do her thing. So many questions I have about the choices that were made. It really feels like I'm watching three films that didn't mesh together. I've got Diana and Steve's story. I've got Cheetah's story, and I've got Lord's story that kind of then intertwine towards the end. They don't feel like they're cohesive altogether at all. Interspersed with, haha, weren't the 80s funny and quaint? And that bin is a piece of art. Aren't fanny packs, isn't that a funny word to say? And don't people look ridiculous in them? Be better. You are better than this.
I think that's it. Like, so that's at the start where I said, and look, I had no expectations going in, and so therefore I wasn't too disappointed. You mean, you obviously did have expectations of the fact that they are better, because they have done better, and they didn't do better this time around.
I don't understand why.
And there was such a prolonged dragging out and waiting. Now, understandably, they couldn't be sitting there refilming scenes all the time, because that's not how cinema works, let alone COVID or anything like that. They had time to sit on it and go, actually, does this work? Or no, they had time to go, like, how can we get this out as wide as possible, as far as possible, and make our money back?
That's it. I mean, I think you've got, this is a story that can be told in an hour and a half, and you've probably got a film that I would like and I would watch. I'd be disappointed because Wonder Woman deserves a 2.5 hour film, but this as a 90-minute adventure, I could have got on board with, like Wonder Woman 2.5. But Yeah, imagine the story that you could have told and crafted in 2.5 hours. What could you have done? And if anything would have been better than this. I might have the harshest opinion on this film.
It makes me slightly concerned for the Snyder Cut, which is broken up into 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, I'm just like, getting so done with DC, and the Ray Fisher stuff has got a bad stink on it as well.
Well, that's true.
It all just feels like a massive mess at the minute, other than Henry Cavill.
Did you read, actually, just that you brought up, did you read Ray Fisher's statement yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
a horrible mess.
This is not only is that awful for him to be going through, what a PR nightmare for all of this as well.
From a business point of view, it is.
Exactly.
It stinks. And then you got the judgment of any actor that chooses to stay on board, because they're going to get judged by some portion of the fandom or public, aren't they? But yeah, anyway, before I'd watched this film, I said on the podcast a few episodes ago, people calm down, like it's just a movie. Now I really,
there's that too, like it's film.
No, but I really get it now.
Right, sorry. I'm still like that, guys. It's a film.
No, okay, I get that it's a film, but it's a film that could have been so much better, and it almost felt like, it sounds horrible, but it felt like Gal Gadot had been playing Wonder Woman for 30 years, and this was her last appearance. This was, I'm going to give her a send-off. She
was playing Wonder Woman. There was a moment there where you said she's been playing Wonder Woman for 30 years.
Steve Wonderman.
And I love that. I want to see that film. Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman.
Yes. Wonder Woman for 30 years, and is now phoning in her final performance. It really, there's a few moments in it, but it felt very rubbery. Did not like her performance. Especially next to Kristen Wiig, who is just fucking on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think she is the MVP of the film.
Yeah.
Followed by Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
She's not
in a
bad
separate
in this.
movie, by the feeling of it.
A base, yeah. Gal Gadot's not bad in this. She's just overshone by
present.
Pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
So, to cap it all off, what did you think of the cameo?
A not needed. A not is a not needed. Didn't like it.
Let's do this again.
Pandering.
To cap it all off, what did you think of the cameo?
Yeah, I loved it.
You seemed to not compute there toward the end.
I loved it. It was great.
I meant that your brain went into 404 does not compute mode. You were like,
all I can think of is that saying, is that a not is a not needed. So if you haven't done it properly, you don't need it.
Okay. Sorry, I've not heard that phrase before.
Oh, it's a kind of rock climbing and sailing. So a knotted right is a not needed. So if you don't do it right, you don't need it because it's going to kill you.
Apologies, I did not know this.
That's right. I may have just made that shit up, but somebody out there, please confirm.
It sounds good.
I loved seeing Linda Carter. Cool, brilliant. But it didn't feel right. It felt like they'd used up their shoehorn, so they had to buy a bigger one and then had to use it for something and used it for this.
There was, and also, with all deference and respect to Linda Carter, I don't know what they directed her to do in that scene, but I mean, she clearly was not acting. She was talking directly to the audience.
Yeah, she was Linda Carter.
I've been doing this for a long time.
So featuring Linda Carter as somebody who used to play Wonder Woman, now playing somebody else.
Yeah, and it was fun. I knew she cameoed in the film, so I didn't know where. So then when we got to the end credits, I went, when they showed the armor first, she was our greatest warrior. I'm like, that's definitely going to be Linda Carter, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also pretty much guarantees that she's not going to be in any sequels.
No. Who's Asteria? Astrid? Aster?
She's going to... She is a warrior, apparently.
Good. Rapid Googling happens.
In the film, she is a warrior who stayed behind on Earth while the rest of the Amazons fecked off.
Okay, cool. So she's Wonder Woman.
Yes, she was Wonder Woman before Diana, basically.
Got it. Cool. Excellent. Damn it. I genuinely apologise for hating this. I don't hate it. I actually would watch this movie again for Kristen Wiig. And I think I might have to maybe talk about it next year when it's settled a bit. I will watch it again, but I really did not like this movie. I apologise. That is my opinion.
That is quite all right. The other thing I would say to you is, like, if you dislike a movie that much, it's absolutely fine. Don't say on Twitter that everyone who did like it is a prick. And I'm not speaking to you there, Ian. I'm speaking to everyone who does that.
Stop it. Let people like what they like. Exactly. Let people like what they like. A like not liked is a like not needed. But I will not. I can see why. Stop it. I can see why people like this movie. It is my friend Joe said, please, Ian, switch your brain off and watch this movie. I can't. However, I appreciate that it's a bit of entertainment, and I think there's lots in there, especially kids, that you can like. So love it, enjoy it. Please ignore me. I'm a grumpy old man.
That is true. He is both grumpy and old. You need to say nothing else after this. All right. That was
good.
Well, that was it. That was our assassination of Wonder Woman 84.
I hate that talking how much I don't like about things makes me smile so much. Cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for listening, everyone that listened on the podcast. We will see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.